Welcome to our final Vocarium reading of the year. For those who've attended other of our events this season, you'll know that the programs have explored each in their own distinct ways: pathos, poignancy, poetry, sonic punctum, feeling, full-on conviction. A year of events during which Eileen Myles celebrated poetry's too muchness and its unboundedness as its badge of distinction, of which Ilya Kaminsky also speaks when he says, there can never be too much lyric because lyric itself is too much. We've immersed in works that combine qualities of audacity, awe, awkwardness, insofar as that word means to reorient, to turn the constructs upside down. Poems that give bare and unbridled utterance, from the root word meaning not only to speak out, but also to create an outside, to attain or attune to an alternative, the word utterance. I keep going back to etymological roots because our honored guests tonight, in an approach akin to that of Paul Celan, have dedicated themselves to addressing the violent and brutal uses to which language has been put, by breaking the language down to its atomic units and antecedents and the barest roots of iteration, in order to unsettle and awaken their readers / listeners, and to catalyze new relations. So that the very slash I just mentioned between reader and listener, or the sick, that's SIC, that Douglas Kearney draws our attention to, this juncture between the said and the seen, this rupture between the oral and the visual, this unnecessary severance of our shared earthly sensorium, our field, FEELD, of which Josh Charles writes so poignantly, need separate us no longer. Tonight's authors activate and engage in the fullest dimensions of what Will Alexander has called poetry's insurrectional sonar, an auric exploration that never forces us to settle on the one sense or to partition our dimensions. Poetry's sonar in their dexterous hands is a sounding that feels, a sending that receives, a mouthing that sees, and in the process undoes through sound's boundlessness the very obstruction it reports. I mentioned Celan at the beginning, and I'll quickly mention him at the end. In his 1960 Buchner speech, he reflects on his temptation to repress the exclamation, "Oh," admitting that something in the nature of modern society had made him self-censor or obstruct that collective cry, and to momentarily doubt what he most valued, which was poetry's infinity speaking, full of mortality. Infinity speaking is one word. Thankfully, he chose not to deny himself that utterance, that vital and vulnerable openness in and with which his poems and those of our remarkable readers this evening stand toward us. Please welcome Josh Charles and Douglas Kearney, who will read in that order. Their full bios are in the Zoom chat.
Wow, thank you for that. Yeah, thank you, Mary, and thank you, Christina, and thank you, Douglas, and of course, thank you all for being here. I'm particularly just honored and grateful. Yeah, I was just recalling, actually, I think, Douglas, you may have been the second or maybe third poet I heard read. I was kind of a late poetry attendee bloomer. Sure, I think I said that right. Yeah, and so you have held a place in my mind as what is possible in a reading, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for the recurrence and opportunity to read with you. I'm going to start by reading some poems from Field. And then I will move on to read some from A Year and Other Poems, my latest. Both are serial works, or at least the titular A Year is a serial work, as is Field. With Field, they're numbered. I'm gonna avoid reading the numbers and just sort of move through it. These white skirts and orange sweaters I want in the feeding mart, while my vegetable parts bloom in the common way, a grackle in the garden roost, the tall women washing hands or eyeing turnips, the saddened powers we rub so economically. In one version of things, Alarum is my name, unkempt and handled. I am hoarse, I am saddled, I am a broken horse. Gathered the whole in the garden, counted the rights in a stream. It takes so many fields to make a whole. See the surface before the rupture. I know these gastric exercises are boring, but please, I see the boys in the playpen juggling my holes. I see my trauma lit like candy in their cotton mouths. They whisper, "Where's your bird suit? You said you'd wear a bird suit." And I touch the urinals. I wash each ancient claw again and again and again and again. I get real specific about the hemorrhages I tend in my yard. Each hole is a vote, they tell me. Tend your hole, they say. Remember, country comes first. Your fields are private. This is God's country. Gender is not the Tran organ. Gender is, yes, a hemorrhage. The name script and the state script proceed lapping the milk in my sacs. Gender, like all surface, is a female depository room. In that cloud, Moses wept, and we expect a law. His face like light, and our bodies golden in vaginoplasticity. If you ever get down my mountain, he said, purge me with hyssop. Offer my bullock on the altar. A tran is nothing but the sense of some burning. I alone have escaped to tell you this. With Field, I really got into contrasts, I guess. With that poem, for instance, there's this kind of phenomenological, prosaic quality against that maybe too muchness of lyric, kind of jumping back and forth. But one thing I was struck by is, or found myself drawn to, in sort of the orthography or language or something that I stumbled on with Field and what it could affect, was sort of the side-by-sideness, this kind of way in which a line or an image could sit beside another line or image and imply in that way a kind of equivalence between the two. And yet, if one left enough gap, enough breath between, one would be in the position of having to imagine the relationship between the parts, with there being enough of a gap that one could never reduce the parts to some kind of equivalence. and that between that, or not even between it, something less than between it, something could come out of it. Spiral, maybe. Spiral you out of the internal external distinction or something. Anyways, with this poem, I was thinking about being a kid. I was thinking about, let's say, broad strokes childhood trauma, and what it felt like at the time, and trying to find a way to be candid and truthful about what it felt like at the time. So when something horrible happens, as it did when one's a kid, to try and think of it in the terms and then images and the shapes that I had then. And this was one attempt. And I'll give you just one scene of composition, maybe, if only to leave it, which is, okay, yeah, two things actually. So when I was young, 7 or so, we had this dog, Charity. Can you ever have a dog? Okay. There is a dog who was with us, Charity, and Charity would sit in the square of our apartment complex at times where these gophers, I think they were, would pop up out of holes, and Charity would sit, pause, I'll mime it for you, would sit with like paws like this around the gopher hole. And gopher pops up, Charity would hit the gophers in the head and they'd go flying across the yard. Okay, this is one thing. And then the other thing that is of possible relevance is I also went to a birthday party that year. And you know that like whack-a-mole game? I was watching a kid play that for a while. I'm not great with social cues or especially then. And I saw the kid like using the little puffy stick and I was like, oh, that's inefficient. So I realized you could just lie on top of it, you know? And so I thrust my 7-year-old lithe body on top of it and, kind of, they just wouldn't come up and I did great. I got a lot of tickets. But then the person who worked at that Chuck E. Cheese came by and took my tickets, which is understandable. I feel bad for them having work jobs like that. It's a shitty job. And here's this 7-year-old lying on top of the machine. Sometimes you gotta lie on top of the machine, I guess. Anyways, so gophers, holes, childhood trauma. These are the things I'm thinking of. When the kingdom came to me, remember the extremity of him, or were you busy bopping gophers and scouring votes when the deposit turned coal, when cavity meant flat like sea, when the shape my surface so neatly curls invaginates me? A child is what ideology looks like existingly, and I can't tell you how happy I am today in the garden. My tightened mouth, 1,000 shut-in bees, the linden timely in its gloam. I couldn't shit for weeks, a supple red thing and alone. I wanted so much to speech the human things. I became the bird suit they sent me in. This is what makes us girls, thinning by the hour. While I was writing Field 1 month, which I'll probably refer back to actually with the year, there is this like statistic this going around on Facebook that was one of these like, I don't know where it came from. It came from somewhere, but wasn't particularly researched or accurate, that the life expectancy of a trans woman was what was it, 27, I think it was, which isn't likely accurate, and also life expectancy of trans women, right, based upon race is really different. With the life expectancy of Black and Indigenous women being 35 is, I think, what was at the bottom of that statistic. So I got it really wrong. But anyways, it was going around on Facebook with this kind of shocking purchase that people like to have of sharing these things. And I turned 27 that month when that statistic was going around. And also that month, three people who I knew who were all trans women passed away. And that sort of moved through the project for me. Again, not even in between. Tonight, I would love to write the moth in the garden, to grieve it. And as a matter of form, did you know, not a month goes by, a tran I know doesn't die, just shy of 27. It's such a pleasure to be alive in this trembled suit you lent. Shock is a structured response, a word lost in the mouth of keepers, and you thumb at the moth, a dozen bees. I tethered these nights. I gathered so many trees. Shall I read one more before moving to the year? Unfurled my fold, like a child debarking the old tree, expecting a hole, my face to the floor of a field becomes me. What is a hole if not a thing to empty? We labor at morning. This is not its season. I will herald the season. So a year just came out this month. This still feels new and tender in the way that a new thing can feel. It's also that, like I said, the titular poem is a serial work. I wrote it mostly in 2016, but then when 2016 ended, it felt like the poems weren't done with me, I guess. And so I kept revising and revising and revising for about 4 years, cutting away, cutting away, cutting away. It always felt like there was too much on the page. They needed to be hardly there, you know? It was an alienating time. I had moved from my MFA back to Southern California, where I grew up and was born, and was looking for work, and just I was off my meds and not doing great, and so it had this very just kind of flaneur-like, loneliness, walking around looking at things, and it got better, but it felt like the world after 2016 pushing more and more into whatever mood that was, even as I left that time, something in the air. So then when 2020 happened, it felt like maybe a kind of fold, a kind of recurrence, to go with Salon again, maybe Meridian, something, or maybe the spiral again. We've made the round, but with a difference of some kind. And so then I added the other poems, which I wrote in 2020 as kind of ways of looking back on why I wrote this and what I was thinking, and maybe a kind of reflection on it. I'll say there's 12 sections after the months of the Gregorian calendar. So I'll say what month each thing's from, but I'll jump around some. And this is after Salon, so it feels appropriate. And it has a line from one of his poems as well. This is from January. And it's that feeling of walking by someone who looks like someone who is gone, and you could swear it's them. And then to have even that be gone. A current gives as much as it has given you, who I swear, saw gone round the tide pools yesterday at noon. But the world is gone. But the world is a lake, the shape of a lake. I'm gonna read some from March, being March, for a time. And I was thinking about maybe this, I don't want to say easy, this kind of posture that one could have, especially coming from me of, I guess, a scene of bullying and being a kid. And I was visiting my grandparents during this month. So I was thinking a lot about when I was a child. But I felt like all the ways into a poem like that didn't feel true. Because something passed through me too, right? That it was mirroring something in which I was collateral, not what was at bottom, or something like that. Busied myself with days, leaflets, breathless days of belief or wanting belief, inscriptions of the coming heart, when boys would hold your comprehensible neck and place, boy, you were so much to be free. Back to childhood trauma, I suppose. Always back to. Yeah, moving through spaces that one once moved in. My grandparents, they moved, but all the same stuff is sort of in that house. The ceilings I went under, dandelion stuffed in pocket, and what was it? Dogwood. Mother stood, coordinated lemons, his hair a mollusk of vellum. I bathed, understood, unbelievable, each emblem. Signifier me, asleep in rooms, I still sleep. I had not begun to think past testament of want I didn't want. I believed sentences knew their end. I wore bathing suits still on the porch of world. I had not begun to answer what is the same. It is your mouth only that has changed. Joshua, oh, Joshua, oh. I'm gonna read a couple from May because they're love poems. You see what no one sees. Hair, cedar on a shore, your hair, galleries of feather by feather, the sun. You touch, long, irretrievable, beside you again, me again, in the dark of our certainty, I hold like a stone, and even you, I turn my head to 1,000 possible things, gone, it is all I hold now, in spring. one of the jobs I applied for during that time was at a coffee shop, and in very classic Southern California fashion, there's these pride flags, out front, and I went in to apply for a job, and they told me, "Oh, come back in an hour or something," and I left, and then came back an hour later. "Oh, come back an hour later," so I left, and then came back an hour later, and they said, "Oh, just wait, it'll just be a minute." And so then I waited for, I don't know, an hour or so, and then seeing other people come in and ask to apply for the job and getting interviewed. And after 6 or 7 hours, or whatever of that day, I realized what was happening. It's not unfamiliar to me. So then I went into the bathroom, and of course they gave me the men's key, and of course I wept. And this is what I wrote. Again, scene of composition to leave the scene of composition, not to secure it. Flags ask out, pride whines from the terrace, interview at 6, interview at 8. A woman waiting unholds your form, a man's bathroom I'm always in, empty summer homes by the sea. These are from September. It was the anniversary of that month that I referred to earlier. It is not enough. One wind on a microphone, outline of a figure of a bruise. Remembered September or November, any month the same, really, like working the street, a bar, free drinks from creeps at the bar, together, a laugh lodged in air, taste of blood, copper, rain, this existence, sister, a theft, the Friday you left, the rain picking up, hasn't been the same. I might as well conclude the salon theme. This is from December. All that turns is a wheel. The sky is ashen and a wheel that is turning as we cross a bridge of stone. It is not yet noon in the port where I live. Like any, a poem that is after you, Paul at Pont Mirabeau. We touch a bridge and therefore it's stone. To touch a stone is forever to touch a bridge. In the street, they are starting fires. It warms even us. What was crossed out is not the same as what was never written down. Mountains mind even us. In the enigma of a shadow, of a window left open for wind to leave, in the thought that cannot account for form, and having spent thought, we encounter form only. In the distance between the hole of a stone and a dove within it, of all we have imagined, and we have imagined such distances, what is known and not known, you touch the stone, it could be any stone I live on. I'll read one more, then I'll be done. It's very brief and very Southern California. Because yeah, when I left Arizona, it was on fire. And then when I got to California, it was on fire. And sort of remained on fire for the next foreseeable future. It is falling ash in Santa Ana, falling in your year, irrecoverably in the evening, holding hands ourselves into the evening. We wept a quiet English the day contained. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Josh. That was beautiful. Also, I want to thank Mary and Christina and Jeffrey for um, setting up everything tonight and making it such a nice and warm space. Um, so thank you all very much. I'm very happy to be back. Um, and so I'll get started. Right, that introduction completely made me think of a very different set list, so to speak. So here we go. That loud ass colored silence. Scat. Labba-da-dee-ka-da. Labba-da-dee-ka-da. Buddy complicated. Is it a buddy? My permit. Buddy kada. Buddy be complicated. Is it a buddy da? No, da my permit. Buddy kada. Buddy kada. Buddy kada. Buddy be complicated. Is it a buddy? Buddy my permit. Don't say, to be confident. Don't say, say, don't quote me, don't say, don't quote me, cause don't say, don't quote me. But be confident, it's a but be far from it. But you could scat is a shitty thing. To say it is shit that falls. Language down. Say shit. But be confident. If the tongue is a reed, the teeth are sheet music. Show them your score of mute. No. But be confident. Except for but be my permitted. To be shit is to be a something of nothing. But be complicated. I ain't said shit yet. But be complicated. So clean out your stance where you're wanted and play yourself. Shut the fuck before that mess our diction. You notes, but be complicated. Cause I ain't said but be complicated. Cause I ain't said but be complicated. Except for but be my permitter. Don't say shit. Every day I get the blues. I play the stone while old river tonguing me could fret me to grit. No, not fret, but loves me up what they do on the regular. I'm a lover when I'm fighting, peaceful here lately. When I cry, say, he's having river's babies. And so, on the regular, I tend them. I tend to look mad as I find me more sand now, but no, I'm fitful when I'm sleeping, wakeful a minute, my ears wet when I get up, like drowning, though I've never. All my dreams, Chevrolet heavy. This land would swallow me for one damn pearl. This next poem is called Property Values, and it's a poem about aspiration, a desire to want to be something. And it's kind of the reason I wrote it is because every time there's a very public execution of a Black person, and if in that, in the aftermath of that, there is some rioting, right? What happens is like you get maybe a day of the general American populace kind of being like, oh my God, what happened to that Black person? They got, oh my God, they got, but then after a day or so, people are like, but the CVS, I mean, the CVS, they're burning the CVS. I always, think it's funny to talk about property damage on stolen ground. Property values. I aspire to be a CVS. Lord, I want to be a drugstore in my heart or a nice neighborhood, a rapless gas up In my heart, a legit ballot. I perspire all night at it. That my sweat, alchemical of shit, makes gold? Factual. Consider spent plantation dirt, arena turf, recording booth. What transmogrifies these sans my properties? If it could, it should. It's been bottled. Me, I transfuse this solvent, sun up to you know when, then turn up as you know what. When it come time for one time to calm or gun sunshine through us bin crying hues, mustn't the copper figure, were its heart full of mouthwash, hair care products, and miscellaneous cheap electronics, I serve, protect. Lord, my escalators go all descend, and all for sale would glisten. This next poem is called Do the Backseat Jam. It's what's the backseat jam? Why, it's the dance sensation that's sweeping parts of the nation. Many people will have the opportunity to do the backseat jam. And the greatest thing about the backseat jam is you don't even have to know how to do it. All you need is a good, strong partner to get you started, and they'll help you through all of the steps. So, do the backseat jam. Stop there, fam, and jump to the brand spanking back again. You know how it goes. Throw your hand in the air with the lights on, maestro, raise the baton, and swing till you feel it. The beat was taking over the street to the club. When I say you say, ah, it comes. Let me see those hands, all the people in the face. Ah, get down on the floor like you know. This will be the short shot hit, sweat through your clothes. You out here, got it. You better put your hands. Get ready for you. Ain't ready for this. You gotta listen up just as easy as coming up. A countdown. 3, do it till it's done. To the 1, to the 2, the ones in blue. Show them what you said to do. To the zeros in brown. To the back. To the back. Now you're ready to jam. Show is in many ways about being things that maybe you want to be, or maybe somebody else wants you to be. And the poem show, the title poem, kind of takes this in hand directly. What is it to be called to be something that you might not actually even want to be? Something that I want to say about show before I get started in it is it's written in a form that was developed by a student of mine, Indigo Weller. I sometimes teach a course in which students create new poetry forms. And we all, in the class, we all write at least one poem from each student's sort of dossier of new forms. And so torsion is named after a lace weaving pattern and takes on some of the characteristics of a sestina, those kind of incremental refrains of end words. And a torsion is lace weaving pattern because I believe Indigo's, I think, grandfather used to work in a lace weaving factory. Show. Some need some body or more to ape sweat on some sight. Bloody pearl or dirty spit, hocked up for to show who gets eaten. Rig body up, bow, to breeze a lazed jig, and sway to Griggs' good fiddling, pine deep dusk, a spot where stood body. Thus they clap when I mount bunk, jig up the lectern, bow to say it's all good. We gathered, withstood the bends of deeper, darker. They clap as I get down. Sweat highlights my body. How meats dyed bloody look fresher for showing. I got deep, spit out my mouth, a rigid red rhyme, bloody melon. No sweat. Joking. Nobody knows the trouble. Rig full of Odeus. Show while I fix this mess. Spit in tragedy's good eye. This one's called Jigger Gobblers. Then bow housefully. Be misunderstood. Hang note high or deep. Make my tongue above. What's the gift? My good songbox the gift. Oh, nickels from deep down my craw. They clap. I'm so jolly. Stood on that bank. Body pitched over. Blood Rato. Braxton sweat brow syndrome. Spit out a sax bell. Rig negrocious show of fields. For show sweat equals work. bloody inkpot of body. I stay mid-dip, show never run dry. Rigorously, I spit out stressed feet. Lines, jig, ha, 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 ha. Good one, that eye is found deep, but not out. Still shining, dim, they clap, waves slapping hulls. Deep don't mean sunken. Good, not yummy, right? Bow, blanch with foam. Jig, jigs. This one's called they clap. Barrow. So much deep ends upon dead. Stood I on that bloody rise of sweet body. There you is too. Sweat it lets. They clap. Right? Some ass post. Spit to lip. I said show. Oh my gosh. One of the last words in that poem is post. So I'm going to read a poem called The Post because that's a transition. Pro tip, segueing people, professional poets, got segue skills. Maybe even like the two-wheeled cart things. Though that would be wow. If professional poets all got segue skills, like maybe that would make us even more vital to the pulse and breath of contemporary U.S. American culture. You could be sitting in a wedding or something someplace, and like sitting there going, this wedding needs something, and then all of a sudden you hear the doors to the building slam open, and a poet on the segway like, "Yeah," and I'm going to read this wedding poem. Or you could be at a funeral, and people are sad, but not sad, sad. People are upset, but not upset, sad. And so you're kind of like, oh, there's something missing from it. And right the cemetery, pull it up, throw the dirt in. Here's an elegy for you. Like imagine if poets had segue skills like that. Imagine if poets were like the door dashes of emotion and profundity. You're like sitting there going like, there has been a massive American or even world tragedy because come on, y'all. We're at Harvard. We're thinking about the world. We're not America only, but there's been this world tragedy. And you're like looking, and from all the countries, every country has poets and segues. We all zoom in, and some of these segues might be on like pontoons. So coming across the water, dun, 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 and like all the music blended in one. And this chorus of poets with segue skills comes to arrive at ground zero of the international tragedy. And here we are. Here we are. You're there. I'm there. We're all there, being soothed by the door dashery of poetry and feeling and emotion. Oh my God. Would somebody please get an app developer on the phone right now? There might be an app developer in this room. I'm sorry, this is a poetry reading. Somebody get an app developer on the phone right now so we can get this DoorDash poetry thing happening. And we'll figure out a term for it, but the segue skill. So this is a poem called The Post. And really it's called The Post because there's a hyphen after post. So it's like you're expecting something else to come, but it's not coming. That's kind of like like the post or something after, but it's not actually there. Even the titles of these poems are freaking bars, y'all. Come on. Like, shit. I feel like I should just stop after every line, just be like, this is why that line is dope. I'm not going to do that because we don't have that kind of time. The Post. And I wrote this because I was thinking about how, like, when Barack Obama was elected president, everybody was like, oh my God, yay, we're going to be post-racial, post-racist now because America picked a black person to do something that was an office that had been basically like, denigrated for so long. You can't say denigrate without, anyway. So it was the idea that we post-racial. And so this is a poem about that. The Post. Pulled free my skin at its linchpin for to be post. At last, I am pink meat sitting at the desktop, typing things to do with my obsolete rap. 1. Bungee jump from sturdy limbs of southern trees. 2. Bundle it for laundering with jockey silks and handkerchiefs. 3. Double Dutch with Harlemites on Malcolm X. 4. Traded in for right to work at harbor-based auction blocks. 5. 6, 7, 8, etc., and also that. Have you seen my lustrous skin? I mistook what she stroked for saran. Her handbag Yorkie tugged it down, shucked her hips like stripped bikinis. Her pink beneath, she seemed not to notice, was just as new as a white potus. Wind lifts my old skin, strolls it tipsy down the street. A black and white trawls the curb, sees and flashes lights, then remembers when we are and pulls off. My skin is quite the pip, lingering by shop glass without appetite. America is different now, isn't it? The circling birds are tracing hugs. Yes, they want us all inside. There, a pink child flies my skin. A kite. Look, Mommy, they said, and Mommy did. See how high it can go? Mommy said. America is different. So different now. How many can fit in one skin? The pronoun for citizens, us or them, skinless now as I become, the rich air agitates the pink. Gone so far, cleaving skins to ticker tape. The winners? A parade for them next, from us for sure. Best collect the litter when all is thin. Once marching ends, we'll need lofted again. This next poem is a poem called Eros, Erros. And the idea of Eros is I was trying to think about, the nature of the erotic, right? And how, the roots of that word, braided with, Eros, the Roman version of Cupid, or maybe I've got that backwards. No, I can't remember. Whatever. Cupid, Eros, they're the same but different. Whopper, Big Mac. And so I was thinking about that, but I was also thinking about like how the Eros is oftentimes charged with a kind of sense of danger as well as sexuality and sensuality. And so I began to think about intimacy. And this poem is after Akilah Oliver and L.H. Stallings. I saw this talk that L.H. Stallings gave about the Middle Passage, right? The centuries long work study program that many of my ancestors were put on, and a space, an intergalactic war, right? Like thinking about like Afrofuturism and this kind of like war that was happening inside the ships as different cosmologies sort of, collide in that space. So I began thinking about like Eros is unsatisfying for me when I can think of a kind of origin myth for the creation of a particular people, and that creation myth involves violation, assault, terrible like neglect and conditions and darkness. So Eros, Erros. The whole premise is flaw. The hull, a wood prophylactic for aquatic wood. Can't you feel the motion of the ocean? We sing in millions of mouths. We go deep and sleepless, except it's all someone's wet dream. We are mad, we are, and we is grinding. I'll coin grind. Won't Google that for fear I've made nothing. I'm not afraid of nothing except making it. I don't want to conjure rats, but they're everywhere. When I nibble on my wife's neck, how deep in her is screaming. Do you remember when we fell in? All the mid-tempos tell us rock. Can't you feel the motion? All the slow jams call us to grind. We grind. All the crunk slaps are fucking slavers. Tell me what to do, will you? This isn't about history. My junk bounces athwart me even when I look over my shoulder. I will not conjure chains, maybe the fuzzy kind from this sex shop. By chains, I mean cuffs. I am not fuzzy about what chains are. This isn't about history. Outside, the ocean soaks the ship's wood on its progress. Wet, wet, wet. That's a wet ass problem. Fat, fat, fat is the sound of hacked skin. Any doc about slave ships, a leaked sex tape. Any such sex tape, probably a snuff flick. The problem's not the wetness, all you fretting sexists. The Defuna canoe exists. It's that the erotic isn't mine. As in mega, as in Eros ain't my god. As in I didn't dream a Gerber baby on the lube tube. Slippery. The next wave gets me wet. This isn't about the future. Kill in some black mouths is murder. Murder in some black mouths is stabbing. Stabbing in some black mouths is pitching. Can't you feel the motion of the ocean? Swells pitch in the boat. Set a course for adventure. Sweetest reward. I am trying to get my genitals in order. They're down here in Ordur. Some of it's mine. That shit isn't strange. Packed in tight. Somebody says, get it up. I'm next on deck to jump too. I drop and give him 20. My man won't like me letting myself go. Slap, slap, slap. Bend over to the front. Slap, slap, slap. Touch your toes. Slap, slap, slap. Get low. I go down the hall. I'm a candlelit dinner. I'm an hors d'oeuvre and a little something sexy, what gets slipped on in this romantic darkness. I am the dessert. Insert entendre before you come to consciousness. Can't say consummate without consume or grind it down to coin. They reach into their pockets and linger till they flip. The money shot, the rats on my face. If I holler rats in some black mouths, it's too dim to know what's whose name I better say. A fetish floats a boat. God, ships is christened in his. Won't pray to that, pray to that. Cruise, I can't trust the mouth what spit me out to kiss me right. Earl, some fuckery. Goddamn infants want to screw body. This isn't about history. All right. Yeah. I got like 5 minutes. So I'll do just a couple more. Let's do like two. Let's do borax. Let's do borax. I don't read borax often. Let's do borax. For those of you who don't know, borax was a kind of a powdered bleach sort of material that used to be used for laundry. All right, so this mud smirch of a muck, it's them, isn't we? Ain't it responsible for messes of mess? We're who were rigged by what had happened was. Ain't it A, tainting, B, a tainted, C, who taints? We make to stay at dunging up dung heaps while the undung ones, aren't they? I'm not saying whatever shit crossed their mind. Who's low down and dirty in their clean version? They mean to keep it scrubbed, isn't we? They keep our hands stained as their shine. All right, and I'm gonna end with a poem that attempts to Voltron two of the really fantastic, beautiful things that we heard tonight. One is the intro and the focus on the O, the kind of lyrical rhapsodic O, which was in that fantastic intro. And that's something that Josh picked up on as well. And then I also wanted to say that I'm also kind of calling in the idea of fire. When I moved to Minneapolis, I moved to St. Paul from Southern California. Minnesotans, whenever you tell them you're from Los Angeles and that you live there now, their first response is, well, what do you think about the cold, right? And I say, fire is weather where I'm from. That usually stops the conversation pretty quickly. So I appreciate Josh bringing that into the room. But this poem is called Fire, and it's about how so many of the songs in some of the different church traditions that I've been a part of have this deeply erotic relationship between the singer and Jesus. Like the body of Jesus is so important. And the joke I oftentimes tell is that, like, if you want to understand the sensuality of a lot of, especially Black Christian music, all you have to do is take a Christian song and substitute Jesus with baby, and you're hearing like soul music and R&B. It's like that's how it kind of goes. And yet, in these same spaces, not only is sensuality problematized, but the idea of same-sex desire, right? That's what people would call it when they're scared up there at the pulpit, is completely out. And so even as we're in this space where the something that we need a better word for than erotic is happening, there is all of this foreclosure on so many different modes of intimacy. So this poem is called Fire. God, we cry, because nobody do us like the body. Oh, Jesus, love me this side. No place low enough to keep me high enough for when I feel filled with it. I am not ashamed to kneel, not ashamed to sing when I have that name in my mouth. And oh, turned off, and I turned at. I am singing and turned what I owe to the blood, what flowed, what we owe alive, that body by that spirit. What's flowing by the spirit isn't ghost, lest we ghost it. I from the row in the body of or up in it, my body up in my robe, my eye roll up to lift, to wonder from where I get what come. What's ghost isn't spirit, spirit. What guides sopranos keen pierce, it's lick, Sweet glow high and up radiating, sweat before me. What ride high the fierce they make to go inside us is, oh, in this place, death can't shake her rung. What ruffles me, what runs so alto, shoulder rock? Nobody do us, oh Lord, oh, the treble throat on its dark ladder. What wrestle, come hither, come higher, come lower. What wind rattle rock that don't rock, that don't roll? What's owed to the body of this, the blood, what's shed? Come quiver, come quaver, climb lower, oh, go down, oh, do I? Chimes, intertenors, swayers, sang, now get happy, they got it in them. Get it in me, filled with what owed. I know it was, I know it was, I know it was the blood. Bear down over it, a cleft valve low enough for the tremulous tremor, the things of the spirit in this place, the bases, we come, go down, not ashamed, I, to come, go down, oh, deep black fetus, God, go down, lift up, take in, what's lit, sweet body of the body of what's on high, oh, go down, oh, 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 that God, good spirit, flow, pierce, one sway boat, what the oh, the body, I see, we sang, a sweet body of the sweet body we give, I know it was, what flow, in the row, in the body of the things of the spirit, I turn a rock, tremor turn thing, nobody, I know it was, what mouthful of sweat, what chime with what I know it was supposed to be, but shed like a skin, like a robe, oh, I went down, the row in the sweet body of, I see, I hear, what said was too ashamed to owe, what flowed from the spirit, I know it wasn't, what? Some said, like a snake, like a shame, what I owe, when down in the row, the word don't do me, what I do now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Everyone, please unmute your mics and share your thanks and commune with the poets for a second. Don't let them be lonely. Unmute. I know it's a very non-Zoom thing to do, but please thank the poets audibly. Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Love that.
Yes, happy to do that. Thanks very much to both of you. Wonderful evening. Much to think about.
Thank you.
okay. Shy ones, okay. Well, we like to end our events with a song chosen by our readers. Tonight's outro is a brief excerpt from the, is it Lijadu sisters? I wasn't trying to pronounce them, but Lijadu sisters song, Come On Here, Home, to send us home. So please feel free to listen, linger, and you can leave the meeting during the song or hang out. Thank you all so much.